Hi friends, Brent and I are in our place that we spend the majority of our time,
A lot of it.
which is in the barn. And there was some news today and changes in the paint industry that made us reflect upon this horse that has been a huge part of our life. And we decided that maybe we just share with you a little bit about the Gentlemen Send Roses story and ponder then later on whether or not under today's rules that Gus would have had the opportunity to become the incredible stallion that he is. So, Brent, you want to tell them the story about how we bought him?
He was offered for sale. There was a flyer. We bought him from Mrs. Lytow, who owned his mother. And she had posted a flyer at the Michigan Fraternity up in Berrien Springs that she was offering this homozygous stud colt out of her mare HF Run for the Roses, and by what investment. And I told Julie, I said, I'm going to buy that horse. And we didn't know how quite then, and so I went to Mrs. Lytow. She was at the show and talked to her, and she said she was taking offers, that she didn't have a price on it. And I've been in sales all my life and wasn't quite sure how to do that. I didn't want to insult her, and I didn't want to pay too much, as any horse person wouldn't. And so I told her, if he would be in a certain price range, that Julie and I would like the opportunity to try to buy him. And she explained to me she had an ad coming out in the Paint Journal in November, and she wanted to see what come out of that. So about the 10th of November of 1999, she gave us a call, and she's, Brent, I've got an offer. It was $15,000 more money than what we were talking. And she said, but I don't want him to go to California. And we only live 20, 30 mile apart maybe, and she said she wanted to be able to see him and see what his babies look like. We'd promised he would stay a stallion. That's why we were buying him. And so after a couple days, we came to a price, and fortunately, we had a couple customers that believed in what Julie and I do and was able to, or in a position to help finance. Bank doesn't want to finance a stud horse, a 6-month-old stud horse. And so we made some agreements, and we purchased him. And when I did this, Julie was out of town. And when I told her what I had done, she asked what we were doing. And I said, we're going to be in the paint breeding business. And there's a little bit more of the story I won't share right now, but I had a vision of what I wanted to produce and what I thought the market was. And 4 or 5 days later, Gentlemen Send Roses was in our barn, and that's how we got started.
And yes, he did buy them with him without me knowing about it.
Yes, I did.
I was out of town with a friend from work, and I get a phone call. Guess what we just bought? Well, I'd like to say that's the only time he's done that, but I'd be lying.
That's the biggest amount of money I spent without asking.
Well, you did it with the next stud horse too.
Yeah, but not quite the same amount of money. So
But
I bought invited back the same way. So it's but
that's the story about how he was bought. But when I think of Gentlemen Send Roses, he had an incredible pedigree. And my sister Joni and I, when she was showing youth, we watched Bob Shears show a bunch of HF horses, those Skip's Artist horses. And I can remember Joni and I sitting by the arena and watching him go around on 3-year-old HF Run for the Roses. They called her Rose. And never did I believe that I would be able to own one of her children, and that stud would become so important at the time that he was producing in the colored horse industry. So and we brought him home. We had big plans to show him,
Yeah.
and never did he get to the show arena. He
No.
hurt himself as a yearling.
He had a bone chip in his right hind ankle and was lame from about 14 or 15 months old for the rest of his life. When we put him down 2 years ago, he was still lame. And I remember some friends of mine and different people would come and watch him lope in a round pen, and they would say, you know, even being lame, he jogged and loped better than most sound horses. And he was just, I'm sad that not a lot of people ever got to see him, but he was a very special individual, to say the least.
And he got his name Gus because he came with his registered name.
Yeah.
But he got his name Gus because he was homozygous.
Yeah.
So that's how he got his name.
Yeah.
He had an incredible produce record for the industry. I just looked it up. He had 496 foals, of course, because he's homozygous, not a single solid. His foals in just paint, I have no idea because I can't look it up in Pinto, but his foals in paint had over 36,000 points. 2,500 of them in halter, 33,000 of them in performance points. His foals have gone on to be high points at the World Show, all around youth horses, all around amateur horses. They have won the versatilities. For probably over 10 years, he was the number 4 or 5 producing stallion in APHA, both in the performance classes and the halter.
Yeah.
We were fortunate enough, we did have people that believed in Gus, but because he didn't get shown, we had to show that his proof was in those babies that were going to be out there. And we raised white silk stockings. She was out by his first foal crop, and we were lucky enough to be at the World Show, as she showed as a 2-year-old.
Yeah,
And
Julie Thompson showed her.
watched her get the reserve world champion as a breeder, owning the stallion, owning the mare, raising that baby. The feeling of that was incredible. But that was just the first. You know, he's had horses like Send Roses Please. He's been multiple owners and been a steady Eddie and world champion producer for multiple of them. Gentleman's Lad. Gentleman's Lad was the 2-year-old Western Pleasure winner in the Pinto world and went on for at least 3 owners to have a big show record. We just lost
over
him
15 years, you know.
about 1.5 years ago.
Yeah.
Fishnet stockings. There were so many foals that had made Gus important in the industry and made us a place as being a producer of colored horses. And not only were they wonderful movers, their attitudes, their ability to love people, their work ethics, they loved a job. They wanted to do and please their people. We would laugh, and I nicknamed his babies Guslets. The Guslets came out wanting to be pet. If we walk down our full aisle, we have gates as our fronts of our stalls, and as you come in any day, you just see head popping out, because those babies knew that we'd walk down the aisle and pet every one of them. They searched for human touch and lived their entire life that way, wanting to make their humans happy. It has been a wonderful opportunity for the years that we were able to stand Gus. the people that we have met along the way that I refer to as our GSR family.
Lifelong friends.
And his foals have made dreams come true for so many people. And for the little horse, because I told people he was 15 hands on his tiptoes, the little horse that went on to produce so much in an industry and promised them all color and a Tobiano pattern. We were really blessed to have him, and he is much of still what we continue with. If I were to walk down the aisle here, we're sitting in our show barn. I'm with 20 stalls. I'll bet 16 of them are somewhere grandchildren or children of Gentlemen's and Roses.
Almost every one. Yeah.
We know how to raise them, we know how to train them, and we know how to show them. And so today just seemed like, with the big change that was happening in the paint industry, today seemed like an appropriate day for us to be able to sit down and tell you a little bit about the horse that was much of what has put us into the colored horse industry. If you have one, please go hug and kiss it for us. Thanks.
Thank you.